Whether or Not on WHAS 11 Plus is sponsored by Big O Tires.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Weather or Not, sponsored by Big O Tires. It's our weekly weather streaming show exclusively right here on WHAS 11 Plus. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell, joined by meteorologists Matt Willoughby, John Gordon, and Austin Evans. Thanks for joining us for yet another week of Weather or Not. We have, of course, had our own kind of wintry weather this week, but for our one big thing, we're actually going to take things outside of Kentuckiana. We dodged a very big storm that hit the Carolinas hard. So first, we're going to get a recap with CNN's Lee Waldman.
There is a shadow here on my ground.
The most famous rodent weather prognosticator is calling for 6 more weeks of winter, an unwelcome sign for the millions still reeling from this weekend's bomb cyclone. And North Carolina residents are working to clear the snow after some cities experience the heaviest snowfall in decades.
If they get 7-8 inches, that's going to be more than we've ever seen, I believe.
Video captures the moment a train hit a semi-cab after it got stuck on snow-covered railroad tracks in Gastonia. No one was hurt. The record-breaking snowstorm caused more than 1,000 crashes, including 2 fatalities and a traffic jam involving more than 100 vehicles, according to North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein. Thousands of people across multiple states are without power as temperatures fell, including in Tennessee, where some people in Nashville are still without power from the previous winter storm.
There should not be people dying in their homes that are freezing to death.
The Nashville Electric Service does not expect full power restoration to happen until next Monday. In Florida, cold-stunned iguanas are falling from trees in record low temperatures across the state.
This is easily 100 pounds of iguanas.
Meanwhile, in the skies, the storm caused flight disruptions. More than 1,100 U.S. flights were canceled on Sunday, according to FlightAware. Nearly 2,500 were canceled on Saturday during the peak of the storm. Warm temperatures throughout the week should help melt the lingering ice and snow. I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
So Lee right there had a good recap of not only the North Carolina snow, but the fact that it got really cold in South Florida. That's where my in-laws are. They had the, falling iguana warnings down there when it gets really cold. And Lee also mentioned, obviously, ice, power, still a major issue in Nashville. John, how many customers did you say?
Yeah, as of this recording, it's like 17,000 right now.
Wow. Just unbelievable.
And that map is really interesting because my dad is in the center of the bulge, so he got 7 inches. Just north of there by Raleigh, my cousin got 2 inches, and if you go southwest, west out there, they got almost a foot. Try forecasting that little bulge in the middle.
I cannot. Wow. Yeah, I know the mountains got close to 2 feet, and then close to the coast, there were amounts that were over a foot. I mean, that is wild.
Snow on the beach like that is truly insane to see, honestly.
Yeah. The videos right before the storm of a just completely abandoned Myrtle Beach. You don't see that very often. I know it's winter, I know it's January, but still, there'd usually be a few people out there, but there were not this time.
I'm from Western New York. My friend was trying to leave Rochester and go to Myrtle Beach. He said, I'm leaving at 2 o'clock tomorrow. I said, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
So he went out there and they kept delaying it and delaying it and delaying it. And eventually, no. I said, they don't have snowplows at the Myrtle Beach airport.
No. Yeah. And right now we have the radar loop. It's looping from midnight Friday through 3 p.m. on Sunday. This was just like a long duration event. It's really interesting to see kind of the hole that we were talking about over Raleigh. It eventually filled in, but that's why it just dumped over the other areas. I can actually zoom in a little bit closer and we can play this here.
There's 2 pieces of energy. The one that came through Louisville is actually the one in eastern Tennessee, and then the other one was a coastal low that came up from Florida, and the 2 of them together were not good.
I mean, that's some heavy snow on the coast right there.
Yeah. Right.
Deeper blues you see, I mean,
is that lake effect technically?
It's water effect.
Water effect,
ocean effect.
Just dumping it.
Yeah.
Right. I have friends that are meteorologists down there. I have a friend in Myrtle Beach, and anytime they get snow, it's just wild. And when they got that much snow, it's just.
And then the wind. Norfolk had some gusts to almost 70. Outer Banks gusts to 75. Not good.
Yeah, we're saying like hurricane-like winds out there with this snowstorm, which is wild to picture, 70-mile-per-hour winds along with snow.
Not good.
Well, and we also saw Similar to the Outer Banks have had the issues with those houses falling into the water.
More fell again.
Yeah, more fell again this time, not due to tropics, but due to a snowstorm that just kind of ramped
would
up quickly.
Would it be the wind or the weight of the snow?
It's the wind. It's the wind and the water. The number one problem with nor'easters, northeast, is always the wind and the coastal erosion. That's the number one thing.
Wow. And me and Austin were talking about this earlier, too. They had a NASCAR race in Winston-Salem. It was delayed 4 days. So I think they ended up getting that in throughout the middle part of the snow.
They put that race on, and it started sleeting, and it was a
bad idea.
It probably should have just ended up being canceled. But hey, we love short track
from the sponsors, but that's just not a good idea. Race cars in sleet.
Yeah.
Not good.
Well, and you had a trip planned in North Carolina, right?
I did. I was supposed to speak at the North Carolina Apple Growers Convention. That's been delayed. I'm like, I don't think it's going to go. Well, we're going to try. No, it didn't make it.
Yeah, we have some drone video, I believe, of Charlotte, their 4th snowiest day on record, and their biggest snow in over 20 years. I saw Brad Panovich posted something about the snow ratio there was wild. He was like, this is the fluffiest snow I've ever seen.
Wow.
20-1.
That's
so the liquid equivalent.
No water.
Yeah, the liquid equivalent wasn't very high.
That's on the western part. Yeah, that's the western part. The one in the east had a much higher.
Well, yeah, that was right at the water source.
Right.
So just very, very interesting. They don't see this much snow this often. So big historic snowstorm for them down in North Carolina. All right, that's the one big thing this week. Back home here in Kentucky, Anna, we're going to stick with the snow theme and go to This Week in Weather history. We're actually going to take it back to 1998 when we had our heaviest snow on record, actually, and it occurred over the span of a few days. So Louisville picked up more than 22 inches of snowfall between February 4th and February 6th in 1998. This event actually unfolded the night of the 3rd, I believe, but the Louisville snowfall, from what I understood, was occurring starting on the morning of the 4th. And even though this happened over the course of a few days, the 4th is still one of our top 5 snowiest days on record. So we picked up almost a foot of snowfall here in Louisville. And I was 4 years old, so I don't remember this, but
I didn't think you were born.
Not to age myself.
I was about 1.
But this seemed like an interesting, unique storm because it was very slow moving and brought in moisture from the Atlantic over the mountains. Like, usually we don't get it this far west.
I was not here, but this was not well forecast. The older folks who did this years ago, the Belskis and Schultzes, had humble pie.
Yeah.
This thing came in from the mid-Atlantic, and every day, like Mallory said, you got several inches over 3 or 4 days.
Right, yeah.
And they were playing catch up and catch up and catch up, and it's humbling as a weather forecaster.
Yeah, so we had 22 inches in Louisville. Areas like Newcastle had 25 inches. We did have 3 deaths and 4 injuries across the state from this snowstorm, but we're actually seeing some of our archive footage here from WHAS 11.
From old Sky 11.
Yeah, so.
We got skiers in the community. I believe this is the snowstorm that led to us having the record long amount of days with at least 1 inch of snow on the ground. I believe that this is this one.
Probably correct.
It went like into mid-March.
Yeah, I mean, and what I will say, it's funny when people think of snowstorms, they think of 78 with the blizzard. They think of 94.
Correct.
As well, which were
and they forget about this.
Big. They forget about this one, and I was like, why is that so? So I looked at the temperatures when the system occurred and afterwards, and we were in the 30s and 40s. So it was unlike 94, where we just had that Arctic high and it was stuck over us. Totally it was unlike the blizzard as well. So it's unlike what we're seeing this week, where it's just sticking with us.
That's right. And the Weather Service was slow on this too. Everyone had problems. Back then we had 2 computer models. Now you have a plethora of data.
Right. Yeah. So I looked at the high temperatures. This is from that week.
Oh, wow.
So you can see when we had the snow, we were still around freezing.
Yeah.
And then we warmed up quickly. And just think about that, because we had 20 inches of snow on the ground. We still made it up to 49 on the 9th. So
it's Southwest
yeah.
Florida.
Started to melt pretty quick.
Like next week, you'll see a big warm up.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
I am. I think we all are.
Yeah, which we're definitely gonna get to here in a few moments. But we're gonna stick with this week in weather history, and I know, John, you have a lot to talk about with the 2008 Super Tuesday tornado outbreak. So I can kind of set the scene, and then I want you to take it away and talk about your time covering it, and I'm sure the storm surveys afterwards as well. So there was a tornado outbreak, 2008 Super Tuesday. It was a primary day, which is why it's called that. And there were several tornadoes. I actually have the number here. If we can bring this up full, 84 tornadoes claimed 57 lives across the lower Ohio Valley and the southern states. So here at home in Louisville, it looked like we had discrete cells that moved into a squall line. Yep. And specifically, I know our coverage area is a little bit different than the National Weather Service in terms of you all cover more counties, but for WHAS 11, it would have been 3 EF0s, 5 EF1s, and 3 EF2s for us. And so, John, I'll kind of play some of these graphics underneath. I have the SBC Outlook, the storm reports as well, and you can kind of talk about the day for you.
Yeah, this was the worst event I worked in Louisville. Okay, maybe people might be surprised. It's not Henryville, it's not the ice storm, it's this event. First off, we're in the 70s in the evening on Sunday night. Well, that's not good.
In February.
In February. So we had very strong wind shear, big upper level jet stream, and there were all these supercells, like Mallory said, that went flying out of Arkansas and Mississippi and Tennessee and got into, it might have got to Adair County. I'm trying to remember, but it was in our far southeastern counties. Okay. Meanwhile, we have a squall line, I call it the squall line from hell. It was the worst one I ever worked. So we learned when I went to college, way before these folks, when I went to college, we didn't know about squall line tornadoes. Well, by God, we did that night. And I survey with the squall line, I think we had 19 or 20 tornadoes on the squall line, and then 2 long track supercells, one that barely missed downtown Nashville and got into southeastern Kentucky and killed 4 people at 2 o'clock in the morning in Allen County. Yeah, look at all that red up in our area. They're purple. I ran out of time to survey. My back was terrible. I mean, it was so bad. I surveyed 6 straight days, and I finally said, I can't survey anymore. Wow. My back was so bad. But every county, Shelby had a couple, and Henry, and Anderson County, all the counties over towards Lexington, all were on the squall line that Sunday evening. Then you see the long lines way near the Tennessee border where they went to college. Those came flying out of Tennessee. One of them was on the ground like 20 miles. It lifted just before downtown Nashville and lifted just northeast of Nashville, downtown. Oh, wow. And then it's the one that went down into the southern, Warren County and east. And then another one formed, the one that killed. We thought it was over. There was one last one. I mean, when you have 75 degrees in the evening in February, it's not good, Mallory.
No, it's not good. We have some of the images that were rotating there from the National Weather Service from the storms that you all surveyed. And Jefferson County wasn't hit, but so much of our area was hit. It looked like, I think, 3 different tornadoes in Nelson County. Yeah,
I was able to pull some of those pictures from National Weather Service. And yeah, it was, I mean, when I was kind of picking through pictures, it was really everywhere across all the counties.
Nelson County really reminds me. Let me tell you about Nelson County. So I was driving to go find this tornado in Washington. And I was driving. We didn't even know about the one in Nelson. All of a sudden, I pulled over because you have straight line winds, right. And then it looked like a bomb went off. And I'm like, that's a tornado. I'd call the office. There's a tornado right here. I have no time for this one. I keep going to the next one. Yeah, I'm still trying to go. That's I found that. And now I go to trying to get to Washington again. Boom, there was another one. It looked like an explosion.
Wow.
And that's what squall line tornadoes do. They wrap around on the big front side of the tornado, front side of the line, and they produce a quick tornado. And some people, even some people I respect, say, well, that's not a big deal. They're just EF0 tornadoes. I've seen up to EF3 in Henry County in 2011, and they're not good. No tornado is good, folks.
No, it's not. And so we had a lot of straight line wind damage on top of that as well.
Thousands of trees down, especially north and east of Louisville. People in Louisville sometimes, you're like, well, nothing happened here. What's the big deal? I mean, if you looked at that map, it was all around Louisville.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I saw some reports in Clark County, Indiana, where they had some straight line winds. I think there was a couple of pictures where they had, a couple of barns coming kind of dismantled almost with just by straight line winds in Clark County. So. Yeah, pretty crazy.
I probably missed some. I just will tell you this. I probably missed a tornado or two. We were just too tired. We surveyed for 6 or 7 days.
That's wild.
My mind, I had nothing left.
Right.
On the subject of straight line winds and tornadoes, briefly at least, how do you differentiate the damage between the two?
Excellent thing. Yeah, we'll hopefully this year we're going to do, well, I don't really want tornadoes, but when there are surveys, I will go out in the field and actually go through this. So that's a great question. So squall line is pushing normally from the west to the east, and it's pushing like this, like a plow. And you see the damage generally from the west to the east or the southwest to northeast. On a tornado, squall line tornadoes are really strange. On a squall line tornado, you'll see northeasterly, you'll see east, you'll see southeast, little south. It's very hard to get the west completely to find it. Sometimes you do, but not very often. Whereas on a full-fledged tornado, like Henryville, you see it going in every direction, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we do get a lot of squall lines here.
We're the king of squall lines.
We've had to learn a lot about that, yeah. But after, we're going to take a short break, and afterwards we are going to take a look ahead at our warming trend that's coming up, and also we have weather trivia, so stay tuned.
Big O Tires has more than 460 locations nationwide. We feel everyone in our community deserves legendary care. Big O is the team you trust.
At Big O, that now is no problem at all.
Right now, get $80 to $120 instant savings on 4 select in-stock tires with installation purchase, plus 0 interest if paid in full within 12 or 6 months.
Big O Tires, the team you trust.
And welcome back to Whether or Not. January is finally behind us. It was a very long month.
I think we're all celebrating.
January for me is always a tough month. It's after the holidays, typically cold and dark and snowy.
I call it the year of January.
Yeah. I mean, it
feels like a year.
It's months long, right? And we want to take a quick look back. I know we did a January review last week and a look ahead to February, but now we have this full calendar here. It was cold. Yes, it was. You know, the last 2 weeks were all below normal. We had a lot of highs in the teens, but I know John and I were talking about this. We had the same idea here. I was looking at data, and you mentioned this for this week as well. It did not even crack the top 10 coldest January's on record for us.
I know. It's been, I'm not going to deny it's been cold, right?
Right.
It's been cold.
Yeah.
But when you compare these numbers she's about to show you.
Right. So the average temperature, that's all your highs and lows averaged together, 30.6. We were 5 degrees below normal, which for a lot of months is notable. But I was like, let me pull out the list. So the coldest January we've had on record, 18.5 degrees in 77. Ooh. So we were at 30.5 basically, 18.5. The top 10 range from 18.5 to 26 degrees for an average temperature. So we're not even close.
No.
Yeah.
Very surprising.
That was for 77, by the way.
Yeah, 1977, the coldest January
That's the
one that all the Doug Prophet, right? You're watching Doug.
78
is that all
the
Jefferson County schools were out the whole month?
Yeah.
From snow and cold.
Yeah. So very, very cold. It was colder than average, but not record-breaking. But we do have a warming trend on the way, and that's what everybody is looking forward to as we head throughout this week.
It says melt, baby, melt.
I said melt, baby, melt here.
There you go.
Temperature outlook.
Get this sleet out of here.
Yeah. We have orange on the map for once.
Yay.
So,
you know,
nice. This should really help put a major dent in the snowpack next week.
Southwesterly flow.
It's going to get so muddy.
It is muddy season around here.
For dogs, you guys, folks who got dogs, boys, your yard going to get messy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, we always have to pay attention this time of year for any kind of flooding, I think, and river flooding, especially when we have snow melt, rain, all of the above. So we'll keep an eye on that. But I think most of us, 50s are going to feel like 80s.
It's going to feel great.
That's going to be really nice.
But it's going to look terrible.
If I had a grill, I'd be out grilling in it.
Snow mounds are going to melt, and it's going to look terrible out. So just be prepared for that.
I'll take the heat.
I will too. All right, so now we're going to switch to this week's weather trivia, and it's related to the North Carolina storm. We were hearing a lot about bomb cyclone, palm cyclone, bomb cyclone. What is that? Meteorologist Matt Breland has more to explain.
Hey, thank you for watching this week of Whether or Not, and you're just in time for this segment of Weather Trivia. Here we go again. Okay, so a question that I'm sure you have. regarding the recent news about a bomb cyclone is, what is a bomb cyclone? So we're going to talk about it. What is a bomb cyclone? Sounds kind of scary, but it is a very intense and powerful weather situation. So the term bomb cyclone is actually a slang for the actual meteorological word, which is called bombogenesis. So bombogenesis happens whenever the pressure within an area of circulating low pressure that causes storms, if that pressure drops by a measurement of 24 millibars within 24 hours, then that is labeled as a storm that is experiencing bomb cyclogenesis, which means bomb cyclone. So this means that the storm rapidly intensifies. Usually it has a strong amount of warm, moist air that flows into it. It causes an extreme temperature gradient, and it can allow the winds to become extremely powerful. We see this in hurricanes. We see this in nor'easters, and here recently in the news, this has been talked about within the nor'easter that impacted the East Coast. So that's something that has been thrown around in the news world here recently, bomb cyclone. So sounds scary because it is a very intense weather situation that happens whenever we see that temperature drop, or whenever we see the pressure, drop more than 24 millibars within a 24-hour period. That means the storm is really, there's a lot of circulation happening within it. So that is what a bomb cyclone is. So now you know a little bit more about the term. Thank you for tuning in to this week of Weather Trivia. I'm meteorologist Matt Breland. Guys, back over to you.
All right, thank you, Matt. Yes, we were explaining that during the newscast last week. I know sometimes terms get thrown around, but it is a real term, just with a specific definition.
Weather people love fancy names.
Yeah.
It's a big low pressure area that gets deeper.
Deeper. Yes. All right, so our weather video of the week this week is, we have the frozen Ohio River here, but what about a partially frozen Niagara Falls? So we have a beautiful video in here, and I know, John, you grew up in New York, so
very close there.
You have probably, I've never visited Niagara Falls.
I've been there many, many times.
Yeah. It's on my bucket list, but obviously things have been unseasonably cold, not only here at home, but across the country. So we can see things freeze over that we don't normally see freeze over.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, living in, Toledo area, I've seen the Great Lakes freeze over like crazy. I think they're at like 94% of, pretty completely, frozen over. And then, I mean, you go over there by, Niagara Falls where they're seeing it's insane to see some of those views.
I believe back in the teens and 20s, it would freeze over completely. People would walk across it. That was stopped very abruptly due to some accidents that happened. Unfortunately resulting in some deaths.
Where I grew up, there's lots of lakes. They call it the Finger Lakes of Western New York, Glacier Lakes, and there's every year. Minnesota, the same thing, the land of 10,000 lakes. People go, I got to go across the lake, and they go out there with cars and bikes and everything, and most of the time it's fine, but sometimes not so good.
Not so good, yeah.
So Niagara Falls does this I think it's about every 25 years normally. It looks like something out of a Spielberg movie.
Yeah, very surreal. And just a reminder to people here at home, the Ohio River is icy. Don't try walking on it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I drove here today and I thought, you know what? It kind of almost looks, but it's frozen, but it's not.
It's not.
No,
Please
you'll
do
see.
Not do this.
You'll see that it's not completely frozen in just a few moments.
Yeah, we can talk about photo of the week. Let's
dive into photos of the week. So we're gonna start showcasing 3 because we get so many of them and they're all so good. Here's a picture of the snow moon. We had a full moon on February 2nd from Michaela Howard. Really nice shot of the moon in the background. Unfortunately, it got cloudy pretty quick. So if you didn't get that picture early, you didn't get that picture at all. I also did post a mobile short online. Here's the Belle of Louisville in a very frozen Ohio River, sent in by Brian Carter. We have a bunch of drone pilots around here.
We do.
That love shooting pictures over the Ohio River, and please continue doing that. because they look really, really nice. They're always really cool, regardless if it's frozen, which here is a picture from Matthew Hagan, and he appears to be one of the kind of leading drone photographers in our Facebook group that I'll plug in a moment. There's a barge at the top of that shot there, right above the bridge, moving through a very cold
that path.
Ohio River. We got that path between the ice that the barges have been cutting through. This whole time we've been dealing with this winter storm and the fallout of same. So continue sending in those pictures to our Facebook group, Kentucky, Indiana Cloud Watchers. I've been approving a couple of new folks to join that. You can also text them to that number or email us photos or videos. We got a video, not like yesterday, to that email address right there. We really do appreciate it, and I will show 3 more next week and in the all the following weeks. But remember, a reminder, do not try to walk on the ice on the Ohio River.
Yes.
It's not that thick. Those pieces aren't that big, and it's not quite 1978 anymore.
No, it's not. All right, we have one more segment before we go. It was Groundhog Day, February 2nd. It's a fun little day where people talk about weather. There's a lot of traditions. So.
What did Phil find?
Yeah, Matt, let us know.
Well, yeah, I did a little researching, a little digging. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Of how accurate the groundhogs are at predicting the weather. So, Puxatawny Phil says there were 6 more weeks of winter, but I did some digging on how accurate he really is. So I'm going to take some guesses here of what is the percentage you think of accuracy he is himself?
25%.
25%. Okay, John says 25.
I saw the graphics, so I can't answer.
Never
I'm
mind.
sorry.
I'm not 100% sure. I'd say would it be a 50-50 call? I don't know.
I don't know. Let's see. 35%.
Okay.
But there is another thing. I guess each state has a groundhog, so
there's a lot of different.
There's a lot of different ones. So Noah did a ranking of groundhogs, who's the most accurate.
What's the Kentucky groundhog's name? Derby Dave?
I don't know
Derby
if we
Dave.
have one.
No idea. So here's the rankings. We have Staten Island Chuck.
85%.
85%. I don't know how is that really measured, but Lander, I don't know how to say it. Lil, 80%, and then
Beauregard Lee. Yeah, I remember that.
Concord, Charlie, West Virginia. But okay, Puxatawny Phil is at 35%, which was actually ranked 17th. So
Phil.
Yeah. So
good.
These first few rankings, you see first 6
is where it's at.
Yeah, Chuck 85%. Is number 1. I mean,
maybe he's got some insider information.
Something, I don't know.
He's got a meteorologist on the side telling him, hey.
He got all those million meteorologists in New York City.
There's a lot of them there.
Yeah.
Staten Island Chuck.
We need help, Staten Island Chuck.
Yeah. Well, it feels like we have 6 more weeks of winter just with how long winter has been so far. But I know we're all looking forward to the warming trend next week with highs in the 50s. I'm sure you are at home as well.
Highs in the 50s.
Melt, baby, melt.
You know that song, The Heat Is On? It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming, and we're looking forward to it. But that's going to wrap this episode of Whether or Not. Thanks for joining us this week, and we will see you back here next time.
Stay.